Man, sort of mute again. I gotta fix that issue. Robbie's over there. This is
All
second
good.
lap with Robbie Mattson. What's happening, friend?
Not much. How you doing?
Doing good. Obviously, my calendar's been mismanaged and time zones have confused my head today. So
It's all good. I was gonna say, and it's surgically put in between a couple of meetings that even though I'm walking, I have to attend. So it's
yeah,
all good.
I will. I will make sure that we can make sure everyone knows what's going on with Robbie Mattson and everything here with second lap for you. But this is our second episode. This is awesome.
Episode 2. We're in a streak.
Episode 2. So for anyone that's just tuning in, I mean, one thing that I think is the most amazing thing is just people in our community. Robbie is one of those amazing people. And Robbie took on a challenge or fell into it at some point at least and completed a full lap around the world in terms of steps. Robbie was able to walk a full 24,902. You corrected me last time. 24,902 steps around the world, right? Miles
Yes,
around the world.
miles around, and I think it's close to. Man, I don't even know what it converts to in steps anymore. When I was doing about 84 a week consistently, it was right around 172 to 175,000 steps per week. So it's a lot of steps.
It's a lot of steps, and it is also right. If we're just doing okay, never mind. I'm not. I'm gonna do that. That math is gonna be wrong. I'm not gonna do it anyway. But Robbie, walking that much, that often, and that far leaves you with a lot of time to think and absorb things. And I think that you have so much to offer from having had that time. Um, when when you're thinking about that time, do you consider this alone time? Are you bored when you're walking this much? Because again, I want to remind everyone that Robbie is basically walking 25,000 steps a day, right? That is basically where you're trying to hit at most days.
Roughly 20 to 20,000 is where I've been targeted. I During my quest, it was roughly 25,000 steps a day, or as I said, 84 miles a week that I was trying to get at. One of the early things I found was doing that consistently, or 12 miles a day, became very hard just because life gets in the way. I'm a traveling salesman. I've been on the plane to India before. So just the consistency from a daily perspective was really hard, but I could do it on a weekly basis very, very consistently. And that's because you'd have a day where you could walk 15 miles and make up for all the other days that you were sort of light, and it just gave you the ability more consistency. So to answer your first question, I think I walked during the 2020, so I was mid event when the world shut down. I've walked 10 miles in a day and not seen a soul on the road or on the sidewalk. And I've had multiple days in a row where that's been the true statement. And I would say I've never really been lonely. I've always had either the ability to learn how to be bored, which was a real big bonus, or I've had the magic of, and I'm using wireless now, but I've had the ability to have pods in my ears. And I say to people, we're not a multitasking person. People talk about multitasking, and we're single threaded. We can do one thing at a time. Sometimes it's good, sometimes you're not very good at it. But in doing walking, it actually allows me to do two things. So I can walk. I've trained myself to kind of be on autopilot. I'm looking down at my feet from time to time just to make sure I'm not going to walk into anything. But I'm doing something else. I'm listening to an interview. I'm listening to a podcast. I'm listening to a book. I've listened to 225 nonfiction books where, like Mel Robbins is actually where I stopped using the snooze button on my phone, by example. Yet I didn't really understand what was going on and why that helped me until after I listened to Matt Walker's book about sleep. So that was a long rant. I'll let you say something.
No, all of these. All of these are so necessary. And I think books that I definitely have listened to as well. I mean, Matt Walker's book is, I think, a almost as if a text within a lot of the health industry right now that people will turn to for sleep for sure. So Matt Walker's book, the what is the title again of that of Matt Walker's book? Why we sleep, right? Is that what
I
you
think
just
it's
said?
Why We Sleep. Yes, I think it is Why We
Yeah.
Sleep.
Um, and also obviously some of these self-help or we call them self-help, but they're self-development books, and I wish there was a different name of them, but like Mel Robbins, I think, or other things. You also listen to a lot of podcasts. You mentioned, I know Joe Rogan is one that you definitely listen to a lot, that you said earlier, right?
Yeah, and I think what I said in the last podcast, I listened to him a lot. I enjoyed the podcasts that I would listen to. Really getting into conversations is really what drove me to want to do this, and having the ability to then download or get the book from the author that he's interviewed and sort of get the take where I've listened to him live and now I'm listening to them, read me their book. I've always been, I prefer, see, you're going to look to the right or you're going to get run over. I always prefer the author to read the book versus get somebody else to read it. There's a couple of caveats there and a couple of people that they're really good author or really sorry really good readers and I really enjoy listening to them tell me a story. For the most part though, my rule of thumb is I really want the author to be the one that's reading to me. This is a dysfunction of me not being able to just sit down and read nonfiction books and not get bored out of my mind. So if they're talking to me and they're teaching me, I'm actually listening and my body is moving at the same time. So that's what I was trying to say earlier is it's really the only time that I can be multi-threaded.
I hear you. But I think being that multi-threaded, I think it really challenges the brain too. I think it can definitely have so many health benefits doing those things all at once. I mean, for me, I feel so much better if I'm actually moving and having these conversations with certain people. It kind of like it makes me remember certain facts and topics and brings some of these really good things up. Hey, Robbie, can I ask specifically um, about something, because
Anything.
what I had put in here, and just because I like to structure things for my head, and this is what I just kind of bucket things here. But as I posted to let people know about, reminding everyone, you got to come check out Robbie talking to us. I mentioned here that the things that you've learned in life, love, and business. I like that, and I actually messed it up at the beginning of this when I wanted to say something different.
All right.
But life, love, and business. I think one thing about you is, and do you call yourself a businessman?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I think of myself as a walker and a grandpa more than anything, but I'm an account executive. I'm a senior account executive, I think is what my actual title is. But yeah, I think I am I'm a businessman. I tell everybody when I'm talking to them that I'm a marriage counselor for Fortune 500 companies, just because I sit at the table and I have department A, B, and C all trying to do something where they're all working for the same person. They're all supposed to be kind of in the same boat, rowing in the same direction to protect themselves, and yet they're all sporadically going in multiple directions. And so, yeah, that's what I do for a living. That's what pays my mortgage.
I obviously I can hear what you are getting at. Is that you're not letting your job define you, and I think I love that about it. Um, but obviously, you've done a lot of work, and I think that you are, well regarded to be working with such amazing companies and being in front of amazing people. But I think the great message, and speak to this for sure. You're an account executive working with these very large companies, making sure that you are helping transact millions of dollars. I'm sure, right? We're getting there, but
Yes.
with you being someone who's walking 12 miles a day, right? There's many other account executives and many other business people out there. I think, I still want to tap into that business side and really get some of those good nuggets that I feel like you must have from the marriage counselor side within business. But the walking itself, I want to ask directly about how the walking, well, I guess I should ask first, has the walking made you a better account executive?
I think it has. It's earned brownie points with my manager. It shows
Okay.
Consistency. It shows, a commitment, to make a commitment that I was going to, at the time, and I started thinking about this more, when I hit 2018 and I was deciding that I was going to do this monumental feat, I was at about 8,000 miles over 2.5 years that I had walked. And all of a sudden I said, hey, in the next 3 years and 4 months, I'm going to add another, whatever it is, 16 and a half or 17,000 miles. And yeah, it was a monumental task.
And obviously monumental. And I hear what you're saying about it being something where it's like brownie points, say with a manager. I think it's showing commitment for sure. I want to ask about the personal level when you are showing up to some of these conversations, and they're not always going to be, I think, these easy conversations you're having, especially when you're dealing with money and emotions and all this kind of stuff too. Is there anything else within the walking world that ended up helping? Like, are you doing a lot of walking, say, during business calls, all those kind of things as well?
I went through, I had a couple of jobs during the 7 years. I'll boil it down to 6 years, 7 months, and 8 days, but I'll just call it the 7 years. So there was a couple of different jobs that I had during the time. I had some managers that thought that I needed to be in front of a computer if we were having a conversation. So that would sort of hinder my walking, and I would work my walking more around, call it the afternoon or the end of the day. Or I got started getting up earlier and earlier in the morning. So I would be, call it by 8 a.m. clocking in, and I'd have 7 miles down or 8 miles down and 2 cups of coffee in me and, 250 push-ups and a bunch of, bicycles and all that kind of stuff.
Whew.
So I would do all that stuff to get myself going and deal with the fact that my manager wasn't knowledgeable enough to know that I'm actually more powerful moving. Like there's a series on Netflix, and I don't think Bill Gates is regarded as the smartest guy in the world, but Bill Gates has a whole series about him, and he talks about the best that Bill can bring to a problem is when he's walking and thinking about it. And so I've tried to use that as my method, and I don't know how to break it down. I think you and I could talk about it for a long time and maybe get to the center of it, but I don't know if it's because I'm walking, my brain is focused on so many other things that it is so powerful that when we're having a conversation, it can focus on that better because it's so busy with other things that it won't overthink what I want to say to you. Does that even make any sense
Yeah.
at all?
It well, I guess I'll be honest. It doesn't make complete sense, but it doesn't mean because it's gibberish. Because I think that you're just speaking from a place of emotion.
Yeah.
So I think that your emotions make sense to you right now, and that's why we're here, though, to kind of get the benefit of it. And I think that if we could help people understand that it's possible to be a powerful individual in business and in life, and keep these goals, whether it's walking 12 miles a day, or it's going to be just being able to find a time to move your body in some way, it will only better you. But let me look at the other side of it. Was there ever a detriment? Was there ever a detriment within your business, your work life, that the walking maybe got in the way of?
Um, no, I think the short answer would be, well, there were days that, I would be up at 5 and on the 6 o'clock Southwest flight to Houston. And I spent the whole day in Houston. And most of that's in a rental car. Cause if anybody's been to Houston, it's almost a statewide and a state tall, and you can go out of two different airports. So my point is, I would get home and I'd have 4 miles. Like, and I had walked at the airport before and done everything I could, and then it would put the stress on you. And then where I guess I'm going with this is I learned to deal with it, that you can let it go, and that in the grand scheme of things, since I had the runway in front of me, I was going to end up making up the time anyways. As I said, it's the first time I finished 4 weeks early. So even though I put this monumental goal out there, I still beat the goal just because we are so much more powerful than we give ourselves credit for.
And also, don't let Robbie make you feel as if the travel is something that could get in the way, because I think we talked about this recently, that the airport walking is like the best life hack that you can possibly have. Airport
Yes.
walking, you can get miles in while waiting for a flight or just trying to get around there. So it's definitely something that is not gonna, it doesn't have to hinder someone, and I think that's definitely important. Um, I know
Agreed.
somewhere I want to go with this just in a second, but again, life, love, business. If I can kind of bucket those things, um, walking is a lot of time.
It does take up a lot of time. There's no getting around that. It takes just 16, 17 minutes to accomplish a mile. If you're focused, it can take longer if you're dragging your feet. And if you're jogging, you can do it a little bit sooner, but you're fatiguing your body, I think, at a faster rate. So I yeah, I dedicate between 3 and 4 hours a day to being on my feet and moving. I think where you're going, if I'm reading you the question, did it affect any of my relationships? My wife bought in way early. She had to. So she got a Fitbit as well. She participated in, at least call it a quarter to a third of the walking with me a day. So if you can't beat him, join him. She was with me. And it got her moving more as well. She, continues to do it. Um, I think she's walking more now than she was when I was in the highest point, and we're walking more together. So there were times where, it would have the effect, like, hey, you're going to do that with your feet instead of decorating the tree for Christmas, those kind of things. And as a humans and falling back to being, we're domesticated wild animals, there are times where there was some friction, but nothing that was ever, hey, if you'd stop walking, our relationship would get better. That was never a tone.
I would only assume. I mean, we are a product of some of the people that we're closest with, and some people will say what they'll say three or four or six, whoever you really are. But there's no way that someone is going to be within your life, whether it's a lover or a kid or someone, and not see what you're doing and maybe want to get involved, or push them to maybe understand that their body can probably do more than they think, which I think is the most amazing thing, which is why I would love for you to be in my circle. This is why we're doing this, because I love people who are moving their body. And I think it's one of those things that's only going to make us more confident in our health. Which brings me to, because I know we have 9 minutes, and I know that you have a busy day, and we surgically, as you said, surgically fit this in because of my inability to correctly
It's
schedule.
it's all
But
good.
we got there. Um, Someone wants to walk because they've seen you walking. Let's get them ready for it. What do
Okay.
we have to make sure that we are getting ready for? This could come down to clothing. It could come down to time of day. It could come down to food. It could come down to specific shoes. What do we have to do? What is a good tidbit from Robbie that we have to do to get ourselves ready to be walking?
I've walked with a broken toe. I've kicked and had to put like this tape on my foot because I had a big gash in my foot. I would say there are going to be lots of extremes that I've gone through, and I will try and bring this back sort of to the middle. Things that I had to learn were, at the bottom, you want to have good shoes. You can go to, you know, one of these smaller shoe places, which is what I did. And they have people that are trained to watch you walk and to see how you do things and take into account that if you're going to be doing as much walking as I'm doing, your foot's going to vary up to a half a size during the day from swelling in the heat and things like that. So good shoe. One of the things I didn't really realize, this kind of tells a lot about how much I was moving before, but I didn't know that you bought shoes when they broke down. I thought you bought shoes when they stopped looking good. Like I thought
Okay.
wore your shoes until you wore them until the lawn mowing made them stain so bad that you were embarrassed to put them on. And really, your shoe is good for about 300, 350 miles, and then it's designed to break down, and it doesn't, continue to support all of the things above your bottom of your foot. So I can track and know that it's between 5 and 6 weeks. I need to get a new pair of shoes, or I can just wait until week 7 and I can feel it in my knees and my ankles and my hips that I need new shoes. But the shoes is probably the biggest thing I learned. Sort of the life cycle, having good shoes, make sure that you wear them, followed by what we could dig into deeper, but that is proper rest and sleep, making sure that you are, getting as much as your body needs, and that you are fueling your body with, food that's going to give you the energy to stay ahead. So it's a system. And, I've heard analogies of, people talking about, hey, if I told you you could only buy one car and you could have that one car for the rest of your life, how would you treat that car? You would baby the seats, and you would put the right fuel in it, and you would make sure the tires were always aired up, and you would just take care of it, because you know that you're never going to get another version of that. And the analogy is supposed to kind of shock you that that's your body. Like, you get one meat suit. It's here. You use it until it doesn't support you anymore, and then you pass on. And I got really into this walking, and then as I started listening to the books, and was the sleep, and then it was the food, and I did all sorts of experimentations. But yeah, shoes, sleep, nutrition, those are the things that I think you want to focus on early, if that's not too broad of an answer.
No, it's not. But you gotta keep a couple pocketed away, because I want to keep asking you to drop a little bit of nugget here and there. Obviously, there's so much you can give us. But no, you actually got ahead of my question that I was going to ask about. How often are you actually changing your shoes? I know as a runner, I don't. I ran my marathons. That time is behind me, and I'm happy I did it. But I'm not jealous anymore. I used to be when I would see runners out there getting ready. But I would change my shoes. I've always known 300 to 500 miles. That's what you do. And I was definitely the one that would wait the 500 miles. So I was like, I don't have the budget to keep buying shoes. So, but changing your shoes often, your shoe budget, I feel like that has to become at least some part of a conversation with yourself to know, how much am I spending throughout the year on shoes?
I could tell you that. I've bought, in the past 10 years, I've bought every pair of shoes, but I think it's three pairs from the same company. And so when I go in there, they can see they have a loyalty program. They, give you so much for what you spend. And they have this little thing down in the corner, because they've been bought and acquired by some bigger companies. The company I use is Fleet Feet, used to be Run On.
Yeah.
And down in the corner, it has a number that tells them what I spend annually on shoes. And I buy 12. Yeah, I'm going to say I'm down to 10 pairs a year, and my bride is at 6 or 7. So we're still getting 17 to 18 pairs a year. And yes, they look at me and they smile, and they're like, yeah, you're a very good customer. So it can be good. I stopped drinking. So, I look at it as I'm spending less on shoes per month than I was on booze per month.
Sure.
So I'm ahead of the schedule, but that was a choice that I decided.
Hey, wait, one last question, because I want to make sure that you're off in time. It sounds like you're definitely loyal to the store, the loyalty program, getting some money back, or at least saving some can help. Are you finding yourself loyal to a certain brand of shoe? I know that in other conversations we've mentioned with you.
I have used Brooks um, glycerins. These are 21s. I started putting them on when they were 12s. I've used them the same. They've never blistered my feet. When I've tried other brands, Brooks, like anybody else, has had supply chain issues like other people. And when I wasn't making the choice to buy 2 to 3 pairs at a time, just because I couldn't get to the store, couldn't deal with it, I ended up buying a different pair of shoes, different location, got blisters. Back to, when I was trying to get this done and making the attempt to be as full in the effort, taking care of my feet, like Lieutenant Dan talks about in Forrest Gump, change your socks. I mean, and I'm laughing with you as I say this out loud. I would put 3 different pairs of socks on a day. I would, every time I would go for a long walk, I'd put a fresh, clean pair of socks on. I would try and just take care of my feet like they were the best body part that I needed. And I think back to the whole analogy of the car: take care of your body, do your stretches, wear the right clothes. We have lots of stuff we can continue to talk about, because
We'll get there. We'll get
yeah,
there.
yeah,
We
we'll
have
get
we
there.
have so much we can. Yeah, we definitely
Yeah.
will, because the next thing has to be brands of socks. I know I have my favorite brand of sock, but we'll talk about that later. But Robbie, I know that we are on a tight schedule today, so I'll let you go. Thank you again. Second episode, second lap with Robbie Mattson. Lessons from the first lap. There's so much you have to offer, man. I'm so excited we're doing this. But we'll see you next time. What did we say? We said 12:30 Wednesdays, 12:30 Eastern, 11:30 Central, right?
Yes, it gives us the opportunity. If you look at it and you're a math person, it's the dead center of the middle of the week. So you've got as much
Because
ahead
you
of
are
you
a
as you
math
got behind
person.
you. Yes, for sure.
I know you like your numbers. All right, man. I will see you
Appreciate you.
later. We'll see you soon. Take care.
Thanks, guy. Take care.